friends, it's Mari for Trinity Stamps. I'm going to be creating an A2 sized card for you today. This is the sweet little card that I'm going to be creating. It's a landscape folding A2 size card that is going to be creating this sweet little scene using the Bunny Burrow stamps and coordinating die set. This is such a sweet little stamp set, and you can just see all of the sweet little images that are part of this set. And then it's just so awesome. There's a coordinating set that cuts out all of these different images. I'm going to stamp out all of my images here in my mini Misty onto some Neenah 80-pound cardstock. I'm using some Copic friendly ink because I am going to color up these images with my Copic markers today. So you're just going to see me stamping these out, and then I'm going to start here with my Copic process. So you can just watch me coloring away here. I'm going to do some really basic Copic coloring here, and I will show you the colors of the markers that I am using by putting the cap up there beside my paper, so you can see the colors that I've chosen to blend out for the different critters and the different parts of the little scene that I'm going to be working on today. So the little bunny, I used a combination of some W grays, and I just went in with the lightest color of gray and then added some shadows with some darker colors and just blending out back and forth between the light and dark colors to create a little bit of dimension on my sweet little bunny here today. I wanted to leave the belly of the bunny where that little circle is in the belly area, kind of like the lightest area on my little bunny. And then I used an really pale pink on the cheeks of my bunny. Now for the little bunny burrow, I'm using green here. I think this one is YG13. I'm just going all the way around the perimeter of where I want the green to be, just to kind of give myself a little bit of a margin around all of those different parts that are going to be a different color other than this color of green. And then I'll go ahead and fill that in, and I will go over that a couple of times just to smooth the color out so that it's not blotchy, and eventually it just smooths out and evens out as well as it sinks into that paper. And I love using Copic markers because they're super quick. I know I have sped this up quite a bit, but it does not take long to color your images in with these markers. And I do really enjoy my Copics, but I do have a few different kinds of alcohol inks in my stash. I probably do reach for my Copics the most. However, as it has been exceedingly difficult to get re-inkers here in this last year, I have also been using my Ohuhu markers, and I've also used the Spectrum Noir Tri-Blends, which are super fun to use as well. So just whatever you have in your stash, if you're using alcohol markers, I am, like I said, starting off with a lighter color, putting in a medium and darker shade, and then blending out with the lighter shade as I go along. I wanted to make my little bunny burrow here a combination of brown colors. So I'm going over the entire circular shape of my little bunny burrow door here with an E55. And then I will use some darker shades there on that where the sort of like the seams or where the door edges are, or the board, I guess it's the board door boards. Whatever those parts are where the lines are on the bunny burrow door, I'm going to use darker colors of brown there to add some shading, just to give it some dimension and make it look like a little bit more realistic and a little bit more dimensional in that way. So you could just see there, I'm blending out that darker color that I did put on those lines on the door, and just going to try to get a nice smooth blend there. Now, if you ever go outside of the lines with your marker onto a white space, you can use your colorless blender to push that ink back in, or you could also use a white gel pen to cover up your errors. I use the white gel pen lots in my Copic coloring. It just really helps cover up any little glitches that you get in your coloring. I'm using some C colors of gray to do the little stone area around the door and on the little pathway. And this is the the die that cuts out the bunny burrow, and it's just fantastic because it actually cuts the door so that it opens, and I think that's genius, and it hinges that little door so that you can put something inside of there and make it kind of interactive in that way. There's also a die that you can use to make a dimensional piece where those stones are. I did color that, but I'm not going to use it. I just wanted to show you that that is an option for your project. I just didn't end up using that piece. I thought it looked fine without that. And you can also see that that die cuts the window out as well, and you can put that cutout back in the window space if you want, however you want to use that. I cut a panel for the front of my card out of some more Nina 80-pound cardstock, and I actually used the 4-bar card builder set to cut this stitched rectangle out. I didn't show it on camera, but I did want to just tell you about it. It is probably my favorite die set from Trinity Stamps, and it's the 4-bar card builder set. It's just really great. And so I cut out that rectangle. I've done a little bit of really simple ink blending with some tumbled glass and some shabby shutters to create my sky and my grass area. I did use my Trinity Stamps blending brushes for that, which are really fantastic blending brushes. And I cut the little burrow out again, just from some white cardstock, and I'm adhering that to the back of my colored burrow so that when you open the door of the burrow, there's a little space that is going to show rather than the sky and the grassy area behind it here. So I am going to put a critter inside of that door, and I just wanted to make sure that there was an extra layer behind there. Now you can see that I did glue that window that was cut out when I cut out the burrow. I glued it back into that spot just by adhering it down to my cardstock, and then I put the burrow back over top of that. And now you can just see I'm starting to add my critters. The burrow is glued onto the card front flat, and I'm going to pop up some of my other critters on foam adhesive just to give them some dimension. And then I'm going to use some glue dots to glue the rest of these smaller bits in. For example, the little worm that I put inside the door and the little stone walkway, I'm using a glue dot on that. And I'm going to use a glue dot on the flowers and the ladybug and the little bee that's buzzing around and all of these other tiny little parts. I'm not going to put foam adhesive on, but rather just use glue dots. So I like using that type of adhesive for smaller bits. It just makes it really super easy to adhere them down. You can just see how I'm using my tweezers to help me place these different smaller parts. I find that that really helps. Now this is a sentiment set that is amazing. It's called A Sentiment for Almost Everything. And this truly does have a sentiment for almost everything. It is a really great basic sentiment set. So if you're looking for something like that, this is a really great choice. And I wanted to use the happy birthday sentiment here today for my card. I have some black cardstock in my mini Misty again. I'm using my anti-static powder tool there, that little powder bag. I'm going to be doing some heat embossing. I don't want my embossing powder to stick to the paper, so that's why you use that anti-static powder bag. I've used some embossing ink, some clear ink on my stamp. I've stamped that out, and now I'm putting some white fine embossing powder on that ink, and there you can see it sticks to where I stamped that sentiment out, and the sentiment is happy birthday. I'm just melting that powder now with my heat tool, and that is my sentiment. So I'm just going to cut that. I just cut that out in a strip, and now I'm going to adhere it to my card with some foam adhesive. This is just a foam adhesive strip. Using my tweezers for placement here, I'm going to put my happy birthday there by that little burrow. And now I can start putting my card together. So I'm going to use a black cardstock mat behind my card front here. So I just measured a piece of black cardstock so that it would just provide a little bit of a black margin around that stitched card front. Get that all stuck down, and now I'm going to stick the black cardstock panel to a gray card base. So this is a gray A2 size card base. It is in landscape mode so that it folds at the top. And the nice thing about a landscape folding card for a scene is it gives you an opportunity to get a lot of little critters and bits into your scene when it's landscape orientation. This is a Nouveau shimmer pen. It's just going to add a little bit of shimmer and shine to little areas on my card. And And this is a Marvy snow pen, and it's just it looks like a white liquid when it comes out of there, but when you heat it up, it puffs up. And so what that's going to do is give my bunny's tail a lot of dimension. So you can just see here how it's going to puff up when I heat it. And it just adds, it looks like a fluffy tail on the bunny. I think that's super cute. And now I'm going to use my white gel pen to just add some little details here and there to look like highlights on my critters and just all the different little areas on my card. So you'll just see me dotting around there with some white highlights on my project. I'm going to use it on my little ladybug there. I'll put some of it on the stones and on the bee up at the top there, and just a bunch of different areas with that white gel pen. Like I said, that just adds some detail and some reflection of the light, so to speak. It just makes it look like a little lighter spot. And believe it or not, it actually adds a lot of detail that you don't even realize when you're looking at the card. But then, you know, all of a sudden you realize that, oh yeah, that does add a lot to the project. So I'm just going to finish up that part, continuing to add that to a little highlight area to those rocks. I like to add a little bit of stickles, a little bit of liquid, or glitter glue, I should say, to different little areas on my projects. When it's a happy little card like this, I just think it looks really nice and it just makes it sparkle and shine. And so I'm going to use a bunch of different colors of stickles, red. I think this one is the diamond stickles. I'll use a little bit of pink and a little bit of aqua and some yellow, different little areas on my card here just to add that little extra bit of dimension and glitter and sparkle. When you hold the card in the light, it does just really pick up that sparkle and glitter, and it just looks really nice. So we'll just use my tweezers. If I get too much in one area, I'll just use my tweezers to spread the stickles around a little bit if it gets too heavy in one spot. And then I just always make sure that I wipe my tweezers off with a wipe, piece of paper towel or a baby wipe or something, so that that sticky is off of them, off the tweezers. These tweezers that I'm using here are the EK Success tweezers. They're my favorite tweezers in my stash. I've got a few pairs, but these are the ones that I reach for the most. I really like them because they've got just a really nice fine little tip on them, and they have the little area on the sort of like the barrel of the tweezers that is grippy, and it just makes them really comfortable to hold in your hand. They're super nice, and it seems weird to be fussy about your tweezers, but if you're a crafter, and obviously you are if you're watching this video, you know that when you find a tool that is really great, you always want to make sure that you share that with other crafters so that they know about it. Yes, the EK Success tweezers are super awesome. Okay, so now I'm just using my pink stickles here on those little flowers on top of the burrow. And yeah, I'm just going to finish up with those stickles. I also wanted to use this kind of mint green one on the area on that other little flower there that's colored with kind of like that aqua color. And I do have a ton of colors of stickles in my stash because I use them on almost every card. I love them. They are probably one of my very most favorite embellishments in my card making stash. I also wanted to use some Nouveau glaze on the little stone pathway to make it dimensional and shiny. And I think that's really fun too. And this stuff dries quite quickly. It doesn't take too long. When I add liquid details to a card at the end, what I'll do when I'm finished my card is just set it aside somewhere safe where it's not going to get bumped. And I'll leave it probably for about a half an hour, 30 minutes to an hour, and it'll be all dry and good to go at that point. So really like how this is looking. I think it's super sweet. And I love how that little door is interactive in that way and how it opens. Now, I do really love the Trinity Stamps embellishments. If you have not checked the embellishment section of the shop, make sure that you do that, because the embellishments are just absolutely fantastic. And I love these flat back beads. And I think right now in the shop, there's a ton of different colors. In fact, I just placed an order for a whole bunch more because they've been restocked and there's tons of colors and they are so fun. So I am using my my little gem picker here. And this thing is really great, but it does lose its sticky. This is a Marvy jewel picker. It loses its sticky. And what I do is I just spray it with pixie spray and it fixes it right up. So that's another little hack for you here today. So I am all done my card. I will tell you that I have linked to the products that I've used in my project down below in the description box. So make sure you check that out. I'm also going to link up to some other videos at the end here for you to check out on Trinity Stamps. Thank you so much for watching today. Make sure that you like and subscribe. We'd love to have you leave a comment here as well. Thank you so much for stopping by, friends. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.